Ever wondered how many words we use to describe weather? It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? We humans have been at the mercy of Mother Nature's whims for so long that we've developed a rich vocabulary to describe her moods. Understanding weather vocabulary is not just a matter of semantics. It's about being able to describe the world around us accurately. Today, we'll embark on an intriguing journey through the lexicon of the skies. We'll explore 20 weather-related words, their synonyms, and subtitles that will not only enrich your vocabulary, but also provide a deeper understanding of the world's ever-changing weather patterns. We'll begin with common weather words, the ones you might use in your daily conversation while making small talk with your neighbor, or checking the forecast before heading out. These words are not just about the weather, they're about our daily lives and routines. Then we'll move on to the intermediate weather vocabulary, words that give us a more nuanced understanding of weather phenomena. These words are like the seasoning in a dish, adding flavor and depth to our descriptions of the weather. Next, we'll enter the realm of advanced weather vocabulary. These are the words that meteorologists and climate scientists use in their work. They are precise, technical, and carry a wealth of information about the atmosphere's intricate workings. We'll also delve into rare weather vocabulary, words that describe unique or seldom seen weather phenomena. These words are like precious gems, rare and beautiful, adding a touch of mystery to our weather vocabulary. And finally, we'll put all these words into context, exploring how they're used in everyday language and literature. We'll also look at weather idioms, those delightful phrases that use weather as a metaphor for human emotions and situations. By the end of this journey, you'll have a richer, more nuanced understanding of weather vocabulary. You'll be able to describe the world around you with greater precision and flair. So, buckle up and get ready for an exciting ride through the skies of language. Prepare to expand your weather vocabulary like never before. We often use words like sunny, rainy, windy, and cloudy to describe the weather, don't we? Sure, these words are handy and pretty straightforward, but there's a whole world of weather vocabulary waiting to be explored. So, let's dive in. First off, let's talk about sunny weather. Other words that can be used to describe a sunny day include bright, clear, radiant, or even resplendent. When the sun is shining, you could say it's a brilliant or dazzling day. Next up is rainy. Rainy can also be described as wet, drizzly, showery, or even pouring. If it's really coming down, you might say it's a deluge or a downpour. For a lighter rain, terms like misty or drizzling could be used. Now, let's move on to windy. When the wind is blowing, you might say it's breezy, gusty, or blustery. If the wind is really strong, you could describe it as gale force or tempestuous. And then we have cloudy. A cloudy day can also be described as overcast, gloomy, or murky. If there are a lot of clouds, you might say the sky is shrouded or blanketed. But the weather isn't always so simple, is it? Sometimes it's a mix of two. Like when it's warm and windy, you might say it's balmy. Or when it's cold and clear, you could describe it as crisp. And let's not forget about those special weather phenomena. When the sun shines while it's raining, we call it a sun shower. When the temperature drops quickly, it's a cold snap. And when the wind whips up the snow, creating a wall of white, it's a blizzard. Exploring these words can add a touch of color to our daily conversations, making them more vibrant and engaging. So, the next time you step outside, take a moment to really describe the weather. These are words you likely use every day, but there are more unique words out there. Ever heard of words like drizzle, humid, or hazy? Well, let's delve a bit deeper into some intermediate weather vocabulary and see how we can jazz up our language when discussing the weather. First up is drizzle. Drizzle is light rain falling in very fine, misty drops. You can also use words like misty, damp, or even spitting if you want to paint a more vivid picture. Next, we have humid. Humid is used to describe air or a climate that is very damp and sticky. But instead of just saying humid, you could use muggy, clammy, or even sweltering to describe those hot, sticky summer days. Then there's hazy. Hazy is used to describe the weather when it's slightly obscured by a fine mist of rain, dust, or smoke. But don't just stick to hazy. You can also say foggy, smoky, or misty. Now let's move on to the word blustery. Blustery is used to describe a weather condition with high winds that are swirling and gusty. But why not switch it up and say gusty, breezy, or windy instead? Ever experienced a day that's chilly? Chilly is used to describe weather that's quite cold. You can also say nippy, frosty, or brisk to describe those cold, crisp winter mornings. And lastly, we have the word balmy. Balmy is used to describe weather that's pleasantly warm. You could also use mild, temperate, or even clement to describe those perfect spring or autumn days. These are just a few examples of intermediate weather vocabulary. There are many more out there, so why limit ourselves to the same old words when we can use more descriptive and engaging terms? Remember, language is a playground, so don't be afraid to experiment and try out new words. You may not use these words every day, but they can add variety to your language. Ever heard of words like balmy, brisk, or sultry? Let's dive into the world of advanced weather vocabulary, where terms are not just about describing the weather, but also about painting a vivid picture in the listener's mind. These words may not be as commonly used, but they certainly add a dash of sophistication and interest to your language. Take balmy, for instance. This term is often used to describe weather that is pleasantly warm. However, it's not just about the temperature. Balmy also implies a certain level of comfort and ease associated with the weather. You could also use words like mild, temperate, or soft to describe similar conditions. Next up, we have brisk. Now, this is a term that's used to describe weather that's invigoratingly cold, fresh, and energetic. It's the kind of weather that makes you want to move a bit faster just to keep warm. You could use terms like refreshing, stimulating, or nippy as synonyms for brisk. Sultry is another interesting weather term. This word is used to describe weather that's hot and humid, but it also carries a connotation of being somewhat oppressive or stifling. You could use words like sweltering, steamy, or torrid to describe similar weather conditions. We also have words like dank, which describes unpleasantly damp, cold, and clammy weather. Synonyms for dank might include humid, damp, or moist. And then there's crisp, a term often used to describe weather that's cool, fresh, and invigorating, especially when it's a clear day. You could use words like sharp, fresh, or cool as synonyms for crisp. Lastly, let's look at frigid. This term is used to describe extremely cold weather, often associated with freezing temperatures. You could use words like icy, frosty, or chilled as synonyms for frigid. These words may not be common, but they can make your language more interesting and sophisticated. So the next time you're describing the weather, why not try using some of these advanced weather vocabulary words? Ever heard of words like nippy, parched, or inclement? Well, let's dive into the world of rare weather vocabulary that can add a touch of novelty to your language. First on our list is nippy. It's a quirky way of saying it's chilly outside. If you want to switch up your language a bit, you could also use words like frosty, cold, or biting. Next up, we have parched. This word is often used to describe a dry, thirsty mouth, but it can also be applied to weather. Picture a desert landscape under a scorching sun. That's what parched weather feels like. Other ways to express this could be arid, scorched, or desolate. Then there's the term inclement. It might sound fancy, but it simply means unpleasant weather. This could range from a light drizzle to a raging storm. Synonyms for inclement include harsh, adverse, or severe. Ever experienced a day so hot it feels like the sun is frying everything in sight? That's sweltering for you. You could also describe it as scorching, torrid, or blistering. On the flip side, we have frigid. This is not just your regular winter chill. We're talking about extremely cold temperatures here, like on a polar ice cap. You could also say icy, chilled, or freezing. Our next term is muggy. It describes those hot, sticky days when the air seems heavy with humidity. The words humid, clammy, or sultry can be used in a similar context. Lastly, we have blustery. It refers to those windy days when the gusts are strong enough to blow your hat off. You could also describe such a day as windy, gusty, or stormy. And there you have it, some rare weather vocabulary that can add a bit of sparkle to your everyday language. So next time the weather is nippy or parched, you'll know exactly what to say. These rare words are not commonly used, but they can add a touch of novelty to your language. Knowing the words is one thing, but how do we use them in a sentence? Let's dive right in and put our weather vocabulary into context. Imagine you're stepping outside on a crisp autumn morning. You could say, "It's chilly today," or perhaps you prefer, "There's a nip in the air." Both expressions convey the same idea, but each with a slightly different tone. Let's say it's a hot summer day, the type that has you searching for the nearest air conditioner. You might exclaim, "It's sweltering." But if you'd like to add a touch of drama, you could say, "It's absolutely scorching." Now, what if you're experiencing one of those days where the sky just can't seem to make up its mind? A simple, "It's cloudy" could suffice, or for a touch of whimsy, you might opt for, "It's a bit overcast." And then there are those days when the wind is howling like a pack of wolves. You could say, "It's windy," or paint a more vivid picture with, "The wind is whipping up a frenzy." Let's not forget about the rain. On a light drizzly day, you might say, "It's misty," or "There's a light drizzle." But when the heavens open and the rain is pouring, you could say, "It's a downpour." Or if you're feeling poetic, "It's raining cats and dogs." What about those bone-chilling winter days? You could say, "It's freezing," or you could try, "It's icy today." And when the snow starts to fall, you might say, "It's snowing," or get a bit more descriptive with, "The snow is blanketing the ground." And lastly, those perfect spring days, where the sky is blue and the flowers are in bloom. You could say, "It's sunny," or for a more picturesque phrase, "The sun is shining brightly." Remember, these synonyms can add color and depth to your descriptions, helping you convey not just the weather, but the emotions and atmosphere it creates. There's no limit to how you can play with these words to describe the weather around you. Did you know that weather words are often used in idioms? Yes, language is as fluid as a spring stream and just as refreshing. Let's dive into some common idioms that sprinkle weather words into their mix. Take, "It's raining cats and dogs," for instance. Now, don't be alarmed. No felines or canines are plummeting from the sky. This is simply a fun, dramatic way of saying it's pouring rain outside. Or consider "break the ice." Despite what it sounds like, this doesn't involve any physical exertion or chilly environments. It's used to describe the act of initiating a conversation or easing the tension in an awkward situation. So if you're at a party and don't know anyone, you might try to break the ice by starting a conversation about the music or the food. Then there's the phrase, "Every cloud has a silver lining." This optimistic idiom suggests that every bad situation has some good aspect to it. Just like how the edges of a cloud can be illuminated by the sun, symbolizing hope in gloomy times. "Storm in a teacup" is another delightful idiom. Picture an impressive tempest swirling in your morning cup of tea. Sounds dramatic, right? Well, that's the point. This idiom is used to describe a situation where someone is making a big deal out of a minor issue. "Under the weather" is an idiom you might use when you're feeling a little ill or not at your best. It's as though a little personal rain cloud is following you around, dampening your spirits. Finally, there's "save for a rainy day." This doesn't mean you should only save money when it's raining outside. Instead, it's a metaphor for setting aside resources or money for a time when they might be needed unexpectedly. Idioms, with their whimsical imagery and vivid expressions, add color to our language. They allow us to communicate not just facts, but feelings and ideas in a more engaging way. So, next time the sky is clear, why not take a moment to appreciate the weather and the rich language it has inspired? Idioms add color to our language and often make our expressions more vivid. Are you ready to test your new weather vocabulary? Let's delve into a quick but exciting quiz to see how well you've absorbed the weather terms we've discussed. Question 1. What's another way to say it's raining cats and dogs? Is it A, drizzling lightly, B, pouring down, or C, sunny? Question 2. If you see cumulus clouds in the sky, what kind of weather can you expect? A, stormy, B, clear, or C, fair? Moving on to question 3. What is the synonym for blizzard? Is it A, light snowfall, B, snowstorm, or C, heat wave? Question 4. If the weather is balmy, what does it mean? A, it's extremely cold, B, it's mildly warm, or C, it's unbearably hot. Question 5. What does the term inclement weather imply? A, pleasant weather, B, unfavorable weather, or C, indifferent weather? For question 6. If someone says, "It's nippy outside," what are they indicating? A, it's hot, B, it's windy, or C, it's chilly. Question 7. What does the idiom under the weather mean? A, feeling sick, B, feeling happy, or C, feeling confused? Next is question 8. What do we call a light misty rain? Is it A, a monsoon, B, a drizzle, or C, a typhoon? Question 9. If the sky is overcast, what does it mean? A, the sky is clear, B, the sky is partly cloudy, or C, the sky is completely covered with clouds. And the final question, question 10. What is the synonym for humidity? Is it A, dryness, B, moisture, or C, coldness? We hope you enjoyed this quiz. Don't worry if you didn't get all the answers right. This is a learning process, and it's more important to understand the concepts than to score perfectly. Remember, practice makes perfect. Keep using these words to become more confident. So, how did you do on the quiz? Phew, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? We started with common weather words, those everyday terms that pop up in casual conversations and weather forecasts. Words like sunny, rainy, cloudy, windy, hot, and cold. These are the building blocks, the foundation for a more complex weather vocabulary. Then we moved on to intermediate weather vocabulary, introducing slightly more complex words like blizzard, hurricane, tornado, drought, and flood. We explored how these words can be used in various contexts, enhancing the richness of our conversations and written expressions. We didn't stop there. We ventured into advanced territory, where we encountered words like squall, drizzle, sleet, hail, and gust. These words might not be part of our everyday vocabulary, but they certainly add a touch of sophistication when used correctly. Our journey took us further, to the realm of rare weather vocabulary. We discovered words like mizzle, petrichor, crepuscular, cirrus, and nimbus. These are the gems of the language, the words that can make our expressions unique and intriguing. We also looked at weather idioms, those colorful expressions that add a spark to our language. Phrases like raining cats and dogs, take a rain check, or break the ice can make our conversations more lively and engaging. And of course, we put our knowledge to the test with a fun vocabulary quiz. It's always exciting to see how much we've learned and how far we've come. But remember, this is just the beginning. Language is a vast, ever-evolving landscape, and there's always more to learn. Keep exploring, keep expanding your vocabulary. Try to use these words in your everyday conversations, in your writing, in your thoughts. Make them a part of your linguistic toolkit. Remember, the sky's the limit when it comes to enhancing your language skills. Well, that's a wrap on our weather vocabulary journey. We've ventured into the world of meteorological lexicon, unearthing common and rare words alike. We've tackled everything from the sunniest of days to the stormiest of nights, surfed on the waves of idiomatic expressions, and even put our knowledge to the test with a quick quiz. It's been quite an adventure, hasn't it? We've expanded our linguistic horizons and dived deep into the fascinating world of weather words. We've learned that language, like the weather, is ever-changing and full of surprises. It's a journey that never truly ends, and we're thrilled to have shared this part of it with you. As we close this chapter, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you for joining us. Your curiosity fuels our work, and we're excited to continue creating content that feeds your thirst for knowledge. We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have, and that you found it both enlightening and entertaining. We also hope that you'll continue to explore with us. There's an entire universe of words out there waiting to be discovered, and we're just getting started. If you enjoyed this video and want to be part of our future adventures, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep the content flowing and the exploration going. In our upcoming content, we'll be delving into more intriguing topics. We'll be exploring the linguistic labyrinth of medical terminology, taking a deep dive into the ocean of nautical vocabulary,